All right, get ready, because today we're going deep into social engineering.
Yeah.
We got a ton of research, articles,
Yeah.
real life stories about hacking humans,
Right.
not computers, exploiting our trust, our helpful nature, those quirks that make us, well, human.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy?
Mhm.
Over 80% of data breaches in 2017
Wow.
involved social engineering.
Yeah.
So consider this deep dive your crash course
Okay.
in how it works,
Yeah.
why it's so darn effective,
Right.
and most importantly,
Yeah.
how to avoid becoming a victim.
Yeah.
You with me?
Absolutely.
All right, good.
It's amazing how these social engineers
Right.
tap into our natural instincts.
Right.
They exploit the human element, which, let's face it,
Okay.
is often the weakest link
Yeah.
in any security system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're playing chess with human psychology.
That's a great analogy.
Right. To set the stage.
Right.
They often start with something called OSINT. I know, it sounds like some futuristic robot,
Right.
but it stands for
Yeah.
open source intelligence.
Open source intelligence.
Okay? It's the art of gathering information from publicly available sources,
Right.
Google searches,
Yep.
social media profiles,
Uh-huh.
even those comments you leave
Oh, yeah.
on your favorite blog.
Exactly.
It's like striking goals for these social engineers.
Yeah.
They can piece together a surprisingly detailed profile of their target,
Wow.
understanding their habits,
Yeah.
connections,
Yeah.
vulnerabilities.
Right.
It's kind of creepy how much information is out there, right?
Oh, it is.
Like in one of the articles,
Yeah.
they were able to dig up all sorts of information on a security expert
Uh-huh.
named Nick Furno,
Nick Furno.
starting with basic searches, then going deeper
Right.
into social media connections,
Wow.
even analyzing metadata from photos
Wow.
to pinpoint locations.
Really?
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we
Right.
all leave digital footprints,
Right.
whether we realize it or not.
Right.
And those footprints can be used against us.
Absolutely.
Even seemingly harmless information,
Right.
when pieced together,
Yeah.
can create a pretty clear picture
Yeah.
of who we are and what we do.
Exactly.
There's even a story
Yeah.
about researchers uncovering former FBI Director Comey's
Comey.
social media presence
Mhm.
through his son's online activity
It's his son.
just by connecting the dots.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So it's not just about protecting our passwords.
Right.
It's about being aware of our entire digital footprint.
Our entire footprint. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Let's say a social engineer has gathered some information.
Right.
How do they actually use it to manipulate people?
Okay.
One of the sources dives into communication styles
Communication style.
and how understanding those can give them an edge.
Give them an edge. Okay.
They talk about dia-C profiling,
Uh-huh.
which breaks down communication
Uh-huh.
into four main types:
4 main types.
dominant,
Mm.
influencing, steady, and conscientious.
Interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
DISC is a fascinating tool
It is.
for understanding these patterns.
I get you.
Each style has its own way of communicating,
Right.
and responding to information.
Uh-huh.
What's interesting is social engineers can use this knowledge to tailor their approach.
Tailor their approach, yeah.
Yeah. Essentially speaking their target's language
Right.
to build trust
Uh-huh.
and lower their guard.
It reminds me of this time I tried sea cucumber.
Sea cucumber.
Yeah. In Hong Kong.
Wow. Okay.
It was so foreign and strange
really.
that all I wanted was something familiar,
I can imagine.
something that felt safe and comfortable.
Right. And that's exactly
Yeah.
how people tend to react in communication, especially when they're under pressure
Right.
or feeling uncertain. They retreat to their comfort zones, to their familiar ways of interacting.
They retreat to what they know.
Yeah. And that's where social engineers can really take advantage.
They can.
Yeah.
So knowing your own communication style
Right.
is like knowing your potential weaknesses,
That's a good way to put it.
right? If you're aware of your tendencies,
Uh-huh.
you're less likely to fall for someone
Right.
who's mirroring your style
Yeah.
or playing on your specific needs.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about being more mindful
Uh-huh.
of how you communicate and why.
Yeah.
It's like having an extra layer of armor
It's
in
all-
the social engineering battlefield.
Okay, so self-awareness is key.
Self-awareness is key.
But let's get tactical.
Okay, let's get tactical.
One of the sources dives into a technique called pretexting,
Pretexting.
which basically means creating believable scenarios
Okay.
to manipulate targets.
All right.
It's kind of like acting,
Yeah.
putting on a role to get what you want.
Mm.
There's this crazy story about a social engineer
Okay.
who pretended to be a trash compactor repairman.
A trash compactor repairman.
It's a classic example.
It is.
He used this mundane pretext to gain access to secure areas of a facility.
Wow.
People just assumed he belonged there.
Right.
They didn't question his presence.
Wow.
It shows how powerful a well-crafted pretext can be.
It really does.
It's about exploiting our assumptions.
Right.
And our trust in those who seem to fit the part.
Absolutely.
The source breaks down pretexting into 6 key principles.
6 key principles, okay.
Starting with planning.
Planning.
And a successful pretext
Uh-huh.
requires a clear goal
Right.
and a carefully crafted plan.
You can't just wing it?
No,
Yeah.
you can't wing it.
Right.
Like in this other example,
Okay.
a social engineer pretended to be a safety inspector.
A safety inspector.
They had a specific goal
Uh-huh.
and planned each step meticulously
Wow.
to achieve it.
That's impressive.
It's about thinking several steps ahead,
Right.
like a game of chess.
Like chess. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Then there's the principle of reality.
Reality, okay.
The source stresses that the most believable pretexts are rooted in truth.
Rooted in truth. That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
There's a story about a student
Okay.
who tried to pass himself off as someone from Philadelphia,
Philadelphia, okay.
but failed miserably
Oh.
because he didn't have the local knowledge.
He didn't do his research.
He didn't do his research
Right.
to back up his story.
Yeah, it highlights the need for thorough research.
Church.
You need to understand the details
To
to maintain the illusion.
maintain that illusion, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It does.
Then there's the principle of knowing how far to go.
Knowing how far to go. Okay.
The source argues that you should only reveal details
Okay.
that are absolutely necessary
Necessary. Uh-huh.
to maintain the social contract you've created.
The social contract. Right.
Yeah. Too much information can actually raise suspicion.
That's true.
Like in this one example,
Yeah.
a student pretending to be a delivery guy
Okay.
went overboard with details,
Overboard how?
mentioning an 11th birthday party.
An 11th birthday party.
It was irrelevant to the pretext
Oh, wow.
and immediately raised red flags.
Too much information.
Too much information.
Yeah.
It's like that saying,
Yeah.
less is more.
Less is more.
Keep it simple, right?
Keep it simple.
That leads us to the 4th principle,
Okay.
keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple, yeah.
Simpler pretexts are easier to remember,
Right.
reducing the chance of slip-ups.
Makes sense.
Then there's proper props.
Proper props, sorry.
Props are crucial.
They are.
Think clothing tools, even technology.
Oh, okay.
Everything must align with your chosen pretext.
Align with the pretext, yeah.
Yeah, like in that trash compactor example. If he had shown up in a suit and tie,
Right.
people would have been suspicious.
Absolutely.
And finally, smooth execution.
Smooth execution.
That's about being confident and thinking on your feet.
Right.
You need to be able to adapt
Adapt, yeah.
to unexpected questions or challenges.
Right.
A well-rehearsed pretext helps you navigate those threat assessment questions
Reticus.
that naturally arise
Yeah.
when someone unfamiliar tries to gain access.
It makes sense.
It's about staying cool under pressure.
staying cool, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've talked about setting the stage with the believable scenario.
Right.
But what about building that crucial connection with the target?
Oh, that's important.
It is.
Yeah.
One of the sources really dives into the power of rapport
Rapport.
in social engineering.
Okay.
Rapport is like a bridge you
Right.
build between yourself and the target.
Between you and the target. Okay.
It's based on trust, shared interests, that feeling of connection.
Connection, right?
It's incredibly effective at lowering defenses.
It makes sense.
But it's also where things can get a little ethically tricky,
Ethically tricky. How so?
because rapport can be used to manipulate people
Oh, I see.
into doing things they wouldn't normally do.
Right.
There's this insane story
Okay.
about a case called Operation Oil,
Operation Oil. Okay.
where a social engineer posed as an environmental activist
Interesting.
concerned about fracking.
Fracking. Okay.
That case shows how patiently cultivating rapport can lead someone to reveal confidential information
Wow.
or even contemplate illegal acts.
That's serious.
It is.
Yeah.
The social engineer spent weeks building trust
Wow.
with his target,
Uh-huh.
subtly steering the conversation
Oh, wow.
toward potentially dangerous territory.
Manipulative.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that rapport can be a powerful weapon.
A powerful weapon.
Okay,
Okay.
let's unpack the 10 principles of rapport.
10 principles. Okay.
The source outlines,
Right.
adapted from the work of former FBI agent Robin Dreeke,
Robin Dreek, I've heard of him.
The first one is suspending your ego.
Suspending your ego.
That's about genuinely focusing on the other person.
Okay.
Making them feel heard and validated.
Heard and validated, yeah.
People are far more likely to open up to someone who seems genuinely interested in them.
Right. It's like creating a safe space.
It is.
For them to share their thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. And the second principle is validation.
Validation.
Right.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging the other person's perspective.
Right.
Even if you don't agree with it.
Even if you don't agree, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about making them feel like their opinions matter.
That their opinions matter.
This can create a sense of connection. And encourage a more open dialogue.
Right.
And then there's nonverbal mirroring.
Nonverbal mirroring.
It's about subtly mimicking the other person's body language and tone of voice.
Oh, interesting.
It's like becoming a chameleon.
A chameleon.
Blending into their world.
Right, mirroring.
Yeah.
Creates a subconscious sense of rapport.
It does.
Even subtle things like your rate of speech, volume, and pitch can have a huge impact.
It can.
You want to match your nonverbal cues to your pretext.
It's a pretext, right.
If you're playing a stressed out employee,
right,
you shouldn't come across as relaxed and confident.
No.
Those inconsistencies can raise red flags.
They can.
Yeah.
It's all about maintaining the illusion.
Maintaining the illusion.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've got suspending the ego, validation, and nonverbal mirroring.
Right.
What's next?
What's next? Okay.
The fourth principle is employing sympathy.
Sympathy.
Or assistance themes.
Assistance themes.
Ah. Now things are getting interesting.
Interesting. How so?
This is about triggering empathy.
Empathy. Okay.
Asking for help.
Asking for help.
Especially if it involves an emotional component.
An emotional component. Interesting.
We're naturally wired to want to help others.
Yeah.
Particularly those we feel a connection with.
Right, like that story about the social engineer who pretended to lose an earring.
The earring?
And was granted access to a secure area.
Right.
By a sympathetic gatekeeper.
It's amazing how easily our empathy can be exploited.
It really is.
It bypasses our logical thinking.
Right.
And triggers an emotional response.
It's like a shortcut.
It is.
To building trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo.
Which is essentially the principle of reciprocity.
The reciprocity, okay.
We tend to feel obligated to give back.
Yeah.
When someone gives to us.
Right.
Social engineers exploit this by offering something of value.
Something of value, okay.
To the target. Maybe information, a favor.
Right.
Even just a compliment.
It creates a sense of indebtedness.
It does. Making the target more likely to reciprocate.
Right.
Often in ways that benefit the social engineer.
Exactly.
And then there's reciprocal altruism.
Reciprocal altruism.
This is about performing acts of kindness.
Okay.
To create a sense of obligation.
Obligation,
in the other person.
Okay.
It could be something as small as holding a door open.
Right.
Offering a sincere compliment.
Right.
Or expressing genuine concern for their well-being.
It's not about grand gestures.
It's not.
It's about the thoughtfulness.
The thoughtfulness.
Behind the action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to managing expectations.
Managing expectations.
This seems particularly relevant in the world of social engineering.
Yeah.
Where things don't always go according to plan.
Right. Managing expectations is about staying calm.
Staying calm, yeah.
Adapting to unexpected situations.
Agile.
And maintaining rapport.
Yeah.
Even when faced with challenges.
Even when faced with challenges, yeah.
The all source uses the example of dealing with a target who suddenly goes silent.
Goes silent. Oh, wow.
It highlights the importance of patience and flexibility.
Patience and flexibility, right?
Yeah.
It's like surfing.
Surfing.
You can't control the waves.
Right.
But you can learn to ride them.
That's a good analogy.
What's the next principle?
The next principle is about understanding the power of influence.
Influence.
Yeah.
This is where the line between ethical persuasion and manipulation gets blurry, right?
It does get blurry.
Influence is about guiding someone towards a decision that benefits both parties.
Benefits both parties.
Whereas manipulation is about exploiting them.
Exploiting them.
For personal gain.
Right.
Often through deception or coercion.
Deception or coercion.
The source shares a story about a social engineer who crossed that line.
Crossed the line.
Using manipulative tactics that backfired.
Backfired.
And damaged a client relationship.
That's not good.
It's a reminder that these techniques can be incredibly powerful.
They can be.
And should be used responsibly.
Responsibly, yeah.
The author also talks about the Milgram experiment.
The Milgram experiment.
Which demonstrated how easily people can be influenced by authority figures.
By authority figures, right.
Even to the point of harming others.
Wow. That experiment really highlights the ethical responsibility
it does.
we have when using these techniques.
We do.
It's crucial.
Absolutely.
To be aware of the potential impact of our actions.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just about knowing the techniques.
Right.
But also about understanding the ethical implications.
Ethical implications,
And using them responsibly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've explored how social engineers gather information using OSINT.
OSINT, yeah.
How they analyze communication styles.
Yeah.
To tailor their approach.
Yeah.
And how they build rapport to gain trust.
Right.
And lower defenses. We've also touched upon the ethical considerations. Of using these techniques.
Right.
But there's still so much more to uncover.
There is.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into specific attack vectors.
All right.
Exploring how social engineers use techniques like phishing, and impersonation, to achieve their objectives.
Right.
We'll also examine the importance of reporting. And how organizations can learn from these attacks to improve their security posture.
Right.
So stay tuned for part 2.
Right.
Where we'll continue our deep dive into the fascinating and an unsettling world of social engineering. I'm ready for part 2.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, good. Welcome back to our deep dive into social engineering.
Yeah, in part 1, we uncovered those psychological tactics.
Right.
And explored some real-world scenarios.
We did.
Now let's shift gears a little bit. And look at how these principles are used in specific types of attacks.
Right.
One particularly effective tactic outlined in the source material is phishing. Or voice phishing. Uses the power of the human voice to deceive and manipulate.
It's similar to phishing.
It is similar.
But instead of clicking a malicious link, you're tricked into revealing information over the phone.
Right?
I can see how that would be effective.
Oh, it's very effective.
Yeah.
Phishing attacks exploit our natural tendency to trust a human voice.
We're conditioned to be polite and helpful.
Exactly.
Especially when talking to someone who sounds like they're in a position of authority. That's right.
It's true.
The source material outlines 3 main applications of phishing.
3 main applications.
Credential harvesting. OSINT gathering. And full system compromise. Wow, full system compromise. That sounds serious.
It is serious.
Yeah.
But let's start with credential harvesting.
Okay.
So credential harvesting is all about obtaining usernames, passwords, and other sensitive information. Information that can be used to gain access to systems. The source shares a chilling example where the social engineer pretended to be from the IT department. They called employees to verify their account details.
Verify, in quotes, because of a supposed system upgrade.
A system upgrade, right?
Clever.
It is clever because we're often conditioned to trust IT personnel.
We want to avoid those technical issues, so we're more likely to comply.
Right.
Even if the requests seem a bit unusual.
Yeah.
It's like they're using our fear of technology against us.
Because they are, in a way.
What about using phishing for OSINT gathering?
Okay.
For phishing can be a highly effective way to gather information about a target organization.
Right?
Like doing reconnaissance before a physical attack.
Exactly. By posing as a researcher, a customer, or even a potential employee. Social engineers can elicit valuable information from unsuspecting employees. The source gives an example of a social engineer pretending to be conducting a survey. They used seemingly harmless questions. To gather information about the company's security protocols.
Wow.
And employee access levels.
That's sneaky.
It is sneaky. They bypass security measures by appearing non-threatening and exploiting people's willingness to help.
It's like they're turning our helpfulness into a weapon.
In a way, they are.
Okay, so we've covered credential harvesting and OSINT gathering.
Right.
Now let's talk about full system compromise.
Full system compromise.
This is the ultimate goal for many social engineers.
It is the ultimate.
Full system compromise means gaining complete control.
Complete control. Yeah.
Over a target's computer or network.
Over their computer or network.
That sounds terrifying.
It can be. The source shares a story about a social engineer who tricked a target into granting remote access to their computer.
Remote access? How did they do that?
They pretended to be from the help desk.
From the help desk.
And claimed there was a serious virus threat.
A virus threat?
So they preyed on the target's fear.
Fear?
Losing their data.
Losing their data, right.
They exploited the target's anxiety and pressured them into taking actions they wouldn't normally consider.
That's scary. Because we've all been conditioned to fear viruses.
We have, and social engineers know how to exploit that fear.
They do.
It seems like these attacks often involve multiple steps.
Multiple steps, yeah.
They do. It's not just a one-and-done kind of thing.
So they might start with a simple phone call.
A simple phone call.
To gather information and establish rapport.
Establish rapport.
Then they might follow up with a series of emails.
Or text messages.
Text messages.
Gradually escalating their requests.
Right.
Until they achieve their ultimate goal.
Their ultimate goal, yeah.
And the more believable the story, the more likely the target is to fall for the trap.
It's like they're weaving a web of deception.
A web of deception.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Okay, so we've covered phishing in detail.
Phishing in detail.
Now let's move on to another major attack vector.
Okay.
Phishing.
Phishing.
Phishing is all about using deceptive email.
Right.
Or other digital messages to trick people.
To trick people, yeah. The goal is to get them to reveal sensitive information.
Sensitive information.
Or download malicious software.
Malicious software, right?
It's like casting a wide net and hoping to catch a few unsuspecting victims.
That's one way to think about it.
Phishing attacks often prey on our curiosity. Our greed. Or even our fear.
Our fear, yeah.
The source talks about how important it is to create a believable sender address.
A believable sender address.
And the subject line.
The subject line, right?
Those elements are crucial for getting the target to open the email.
To open the email, yeah.
They might impersonate a trusted organization.
A trusted organization.
Like a bank, a social media platform,
right.
Or even a government agency.
A government agency.
There's an example in the source material of a successful phishing campaign that used a fake LinkedIn invite.
A fake LinkedIn invite.
Clever.
That's clever because LinkedIn is associated with professional networking.
Right. With career advancement.
Exactly. We tend to trust messages that appear to come from LinkedIn.
From LinkedIn, yeah.
We let our guard down because we're thinking about job opportunities.
Job opportunities.
Or professional connections.
Professional connections, right. The source points out that the most effective phishing attacks use OSINT to tailor the message to the specific target.
To the specific target, okay.
They might use information from social media profiles. Or other online sources to personalize the message.
Personalize the message.
Making it seem even more legitimate and convincing.
Even more convincing.
So it's not just about sending out mass emails anymore.
No, it's not.
It's about targeted attacks.
Targeted attacks.
That exploit our specific interests and vulnerabilities.
Specific interests and vulnerabilities.
That makes it so much harder to detect.
Much harder.
The source material mentions a particularly dangerous type of phishing.
Ooh.
Called spear phishing.
Spear phishing.
Spear phishing is all about highly targeted attacks.
Highly targeted.
Aimed at specific individuals or organizations.
Individuals or organizations, right.
So instead of casting a wide net, they're using a laser focus.
A laser focus.
Spear phishing attacks often involve a lot of research. And reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance, right?
The goal is to craft a highly personalized and convincing message.
Highly personalized.
There's a story in the source material about a spear phishing campaign.
Okay.
That successfully targeted a CEO.
Targeted a CEO, wow.
They used information about the CEO's upcoming vacation.
Their vacation.
To create a sense of urgency.
A sense of urgency.
Pressuring them to click a malicious link.
Oh, wow.
Before they left for their trip.
Before they left.
It's a reminder that even the most senior executives can be vulnerable to social engineering attacks.
Vulnerable.
No one is immune.
No one is immune.
Okay, so we've covered vishing and phishing.
Phishing and phishing.
Now let's talk about a more hands-on attack vector.
Okay.
Impersonation.
Impersonation.
Impersonation is all about pretending to be someone you're not.
Someone you're not.
To gain access to information or systems.
Access to information.
It's like real-world social engineering.
Real world, right.
Putting on a costume and playing a role.
Playing a role, yeah.
Impersonation attacks can be very convincing.
They can.
Especially if the social engineer has done their research.
I've done research, right?
The source outlines some key considerations for planning an impersonation attack.
For planning, all right.
First, you need to gather information.
Information.
About the target organization.
About the target.
Their security protocols.
The security protocols.
And their employees.
And their employees, right.
Then you need to develop a plausible reason for being there.
A plausible reason.
The pretext should make sense.
Makes sense.
In the context of the target organization.
The context.
And it shouldn't raise suspicion.
Shouldn't raise suspicion.
The source uses the example of pretending to be a pest control technician.
A pest control technician?
That's a clever tactic because it plays on people's assumptions.
It's assumption.
And their desire to resolve a problem quickly.
To resolve a problem quickly.
We all want those pests gone as quickly as possible.
Very quickly as possible.
The next step is choosing the right outfit and props.
Outfit and props.
Everything needs to align with your chosen identity.
With your chosen identity.
From your clothing and tools.
Right.
To your demeanor and body language.
Demeanor and body language.
And of course, smooth execution is critical.
Smooth execution is critical.
You need to be confident, convincing, and able to think on your feet.
Think on your feet.
Especially when faced with unexpected challenges.
Unexpected challenges.
The source shares a story about a social engineer.
Okay.
Who successfully impersonated a safety inspector.
A safety inspector.
They gained access to secure areas of a facility.
Secure areas.
By using a combination of confidence.
Confidence.
A well-rehearsed pretext. And a few carefully chosen props.
Carefully chosen props.
It's amazing how a well-planned impersonation attack can bypass security measures.
It can bypass those measures.
It shows how vulnerable we are to this kind of manipulation.
You are vulnerable.
Okay, so we've covered some specific attack vectors.
Specific attack vectors.
Now let's talk about something that's often overlooked.
Often overlooked, okay.
The importance of reporting.
Reporting.
In social engineering engagements.
In engagements, okay.
Reporting is all about documenting your findings.
Documenting findings.
And providing recommendations for improvement.
Recommendations, right.
It's about turning the attack into a learning opportunity.
A learning opportunity.
For the target organization.
For the organization.
So they can understand their weaknesses.
Understand their weaknesses.
And implement better security measures.
Better security measures.
The source outlines several key principles.
Key principles.
For effective reporting.
For effective recording.
The first is to clearly articulate the objectives of the engagement.
Of the engagement, right.
What were you trying to achieve? What systems or information were you targeting?
What were you targeting?
Then you need to detail the methodologies you used.
The methodology.
What specific tactics did you employ?
Okay.
What tools did you use?
What tools, right?
And the source emphasizes the importance of providing specific examples and anecdotes.
Specific examples.
Real-world stories and examples bring the report to life.
They bring it to life.
They make it more relatable for the target audience.
The audience.
And of course, you need to offer actionable recommendations.
Actionable recommendations.
Don't just point out the problems.
Right.
Provide specific steps the organization can take.
Okay.
To address those vulnerabilities.
Address vulnerabilities.
And finally, the source encourages focusing on the positive.
Focusing on the positive.
Highlight the successes as well as the failures.
The successes.
Celebrate the employees who are vigilant.
Vigilant.
And identified the attack.
Identify the attack.
It's about framing the engagement as a learning experience.
As a learning experience.
And empowering the organization to improve.
To improve.
Okay, so effective reporting is a critical component.
It is.
Of any social engineering engagement.
Of any engagement.
It's about turning the attack into an opportunity.
An opportunity.
For growth and improvement.
For growth.
Now, the source material also provides insights.
Insights.
For those considering a career in social engineering.
A career. Interesting.
Whether you're looking to join a penetration testing company. Start your own business.
Right.
Or simply apply these skills in other areas of your life.
Other areas.
It offers practical advice and guidance.
Advice and guidance.
The author emphasizes the importance of soft skills.
Soft skills, okay.
Like extroversion.
Extroversion.
Humility.
Motivation.
Motivation and a willingness to try new things.
New things.
Those are all essential qualities.
They are.
For building rapport.
Rapport.
Adapting to unexpected situations.
Right.
And thinking creatively.
Thinking creatively.
They also stress the importance of technical skills.
Technical skills.
A basic understanding of networking.
Networking.
Security protocols.
Right.
And operating systems.
Right.
Is crucial.
It's crucial.
And they recommend studying psychology,
Psychology.
language, and social psychology.
Social psychology.
To gain a deeper understanding of human behavior.
Human behavior.
And communication.
And communication.
The author also offers advice for those considering self-employment.
Self-employment.
Highlighting the importance of networking.
Networking.
Building a strong reputation.
Reputation.
And marketing your services effectively.
Marketing.
So there are plenty of opportunities.
There are.
For those with the skills and the drive to succeed in this field.
To succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've explored different attack vectors.
Attack vectors.
Discussed the importance of reporting. And even touched on career paths.
Career paths.
Now, in the final part of our deep dive, we'll shift our focus to mitigation and prevention.
Mitigation and prevention.
We'll explore practical strategies to protect yourself and your organization from social engineering attacks.
From attacks, right?
We'll delve into the importance of security awareness training.
Security awareness training.
Strong security policy.
Policies and a culture of vigilance.
A culture of vigilance.
So stay tuned for part 3.
Right.
Where we'll equip you with the knowledge and tools to stay safe in this increasingly complex interconnected world.
Interconnected world.
Welcome back, everyone. So far, we've dug deep into the mechanics of social engineering.
Yeah, how it works, the tactics.
The tactics, the impact these attacks can have.
Right.
But now, in this final part, we're going to flip the script, talk about defense.
Defense.
How do we protect ourselves from these attacks?
That's the crucial question.
It is. We've seen how effective social engineering can be.
We have.
So understanding how to mitigate the risks is paramount.
Absolutely. And one of the sources actually lays out a really practical framework for doing just that. It's called MAPP, which stands for Mitigation and Prevention Plan.
Mitigation and Prevention Plan. Okay.
Think of it as your security game plan.
Oh, okay.
A roadmap to navigate the social engineering landscape.
All right.
And build a solid defense.
I like that, a security game plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And the source breaks MAPP down into 4 key steps.
4 key steps. Okay.
First up, identify the attacks.
Identify the attacks.
This step is all about awareness.
Awareness.
You have to understand the different types of social engineering tactics.
The different types.
The objectives behind them. And how they exploit human vulnerability.
Human vulnerabilities.
We've covered a lot of that already in the previous parts.
We have. By now, you should have a good grasp of the common tactics like phishing, impersonation.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So we've identified the threats. What's next?
So the second step is where we move from theory to practice.
Okay.
It's about developing actionable real-world policies.
Real-world policies, okay.
This is where we take what we've learned and turn it into concrete actions.
Concrete actions, got it.
Precisely, these policies should clearly outline acceptable and unacceptable behaviors, providing specific procedures for handling sensitive information, verifying requests, and reporting suspicious activity.
It's like creating a rule book.
It is like a rule book.
For how to interact safely in both the digital and physical worlds.
In both worlds, yeah.
A crucial point made in the source is that these policies must be realistic.
Realistic.
And easy to follow.
Easy to follow, right?
They should be tailored to the specific needs of the organization.
Tailored to the organization.
And its employees.
And the employees.
Makes sense. You don't want to create a bunch of rules
that
are so complicated or restrictive that nobody actually follows them.
Nobody follows them, right?
The goal is to empower employees.
Empower employees.
They make informed decisions.
Right.
And take appropriate actions to protect themselves.
Protect themselves, yeah.
And the organization.
The organization.
Okay, so we've identified the attacks, put policies in place.
Right.
What's step 3?
Step 3 is all about testing and refinement.
Testing and refinement.
It's what the source calls regular real-world checkups.
Okay, so it's not enough to just create policies.
Oh, it's not.
We need to make sure they actually work.
They actually work, right?
This is where simulated social engineering attacks come into play.
Simulated attacks.
These simulations are like fire drills.
Like fire drills.
For your security protocols.
For security protocols, yeah.
So you're essentially putting your defenses to the test.
To the test.
In a controlled environment.
In a controlled environment, right?
Yeah. You might send out a fake phishing email.
A fake phishing email.
To see how many employees click on it.
Click on it.
Or stage a mock impersonation attempt.
A mock impersonation.
To test physical security measures.
Physical security.
It's a way to identify vulnerabilities.
Vulnerabilities.
And areas for improvement.
Areas for improvement.
Before a real attack happens.
Before it happens.
Exactly.
And the final step in the MAP framework is implementing applicable security awareness programs.
Applicable security awareness programs.
This is where we move beyond one-off training sessions.
Right.
And really cultivate a culture of vigilance.
A culture of vigilance, okay.
Security awareness needs to be an ongoing process, integrated into the very fabric of the organization.
The source emphasizes that training programs should be engaging and interactive.
Engaging.
Going beyond just lecturing people about threats.
Right. Use real-world examples.
Real-world examples.
Case studies, even gamification.
Gamification, I like that.
The goal is to make the training relevant and memorable.
Relevant and memorable, yeah.
And the source also mentions the importance of regular refreshers and updates.
Regular refreshers, okay.
The threat landscape is constantly evolving.
It is.
So it's crucial to keep employees informed
right.
about emerging threats and tactics.
Emerging threats, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so MAPP provides a fantastic framework.
It does.
For building a strong defense.
A strong defense.
But the source also highlights a few additional elements.
Additional elements.
That are really important.
Okay.
One of them is updating.
Updating, right.
And this goes beyond just updating your software.
Beyond software.
It's about staying informed about the latest social engineering trends.
The latest trends.
The new tactics that are being used.
The new tactics.
And the evolving threat landscape.
The evolving landscape.
So it's about continuous learning.
Continuous learning.
And adaptation.
Adaptation.
Regularly review your security policies.
Okay.
Conduct vulnerability assessments. And
keep your employees informed about the latest threats.
Be
proactive, not reactive.
Proactive. Got it.
What else does the source emphasize?
Learning from others' mistakes.
There's
a wealth of information available.
There is.
About real-world social engineering attacks.
Real-world attacks?
Analyze how they happened, why they were successful, and what lessons can be learned. So don't wait for a breach to occur in your own organization.
Right.
Learn from the experiences of others.
Learn from others. Read industry reports. Follow security blogs.
Okay.
Attend conferences. Really delve into case studies. It's about understanding the attacker's perspective. Thinking like a social engineer. To better anticipate and defend against their tactics. And the most important element, the one that underpins everything else, is creating a security-aware culture.
This is where it becomes more than just rules and procedures.
More than rules.
You want to empower employees. To become active participants in protecting the organization. And the source talks about the importance of positive reinforcement. Recognize and reward employees. Who demonstrate vigilance. Report suspicious activity. And follow security protocols. It's like gamifying security. Making it something people are actively engaged in. And feel good about doing. And provide regular training. And opportunities for employees to practice their skills. In a safe environment. The source shares a funny story about a company that used a plush fish doll as a reward. For whoever reported the first phishing email each month.
Oh, wow.
It created this fun competition. That really boosted employee engagement. That's a great example of how a little creativity can go a long way in building a security-aware culture. It's about making security fun and engaging. Not just another chore on people's to-do list.
Not a chore.
And finally, Never underestimate the power of ongoing education.
Ongoing education.
Security awareness training shouldn't be a one-time event.
No.
It should be woven into the fabric of the organization.
In the fabric.
Make it part of the onboarding process.
Onboarding.
Offer regular refreshers.
Refreshers.
Create opportunities for employees to learn and grow.
To learn and grow. The goal is to create a culture.
Right.
Where security is everyone's responsibility.
Everyone's responsible.
Where people feel empowered to identify and report potential threats.
Potential threats.
And when that happens, you create a truly robust defense.
A robust defense.
Against social engineering attacks.
Against social engineering attacks.
Yeah. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've explored the psychology behind social engineering.
The psychology.
The techniques used.
The techniques.
And the devastating impact these attacks can have.
But most importantly, we've given you a solid understanding of how to protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
And your organization.
And your organization. Remember, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
And in the world of social engineering,
knowledge
is your most valuable asset.
Stay curious, stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant.
And keep those critical thinking skills sharp.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Into the fascinating and often unsettling world of social engineering.
Until next time, stay safe out there.